annual meeting. I thought the presentation was great.
Thank you. You're going to see some of it again. All right, am I up? Woo.
If you have a telephone, TV, a radio, any sort of internet, this guy doesn't need any introduction at all. Frank Cava, anyway.
Hi. Well, my name is Frank Cava. Nice to meet you all. If you don't believe me, I have a name badge to match. What I have here is just a quick presentation about kind of who we are and what we do, and it should kind of be self-explanatory once I get into it. So that's our team. That's me. We have property management, finance, construction. That's our chief of staff. We have, this is our lead gen kind of person who runs the whole front end of the business for us. And most of you know Eddie, he's lovable. He's been with me for a very long time. He is vice president along with Grayson. So that's kind of our team. So this used to be a series of buckets. And the market's been good, so we've invested in some better technology. So now instead of buckets, we have a series of circles and lines. We're really moving up in the world technology-wise. But this is an explanation of what our business is. So at our core, we go direct to seller for marketing and advertising. Then we have spokes. Wholesale is a spoke. Who does wholesale in here? Like, no one does wholesale? No one wholesales? Does anyone know what wholesale is? All right, so what's wholesale? Anyone?
Tell them without an agent, you bad thing.
Exactly. But I would imagine we give you more. We've got to be towards the top of the list on deals we bring. But what's wholesale? Who wants to tell? This is going to be interactive, by the way. So if you just wait, I'm going to wait you out, and someone's going to say something. All right, what is it?
Sell contract.
Sell a contract. Okay, so like in English, what does that mean?
You get a property under contract and you flip it to somebody.
Right, you get something under contract for $100,000, you sign it for $122,500, thereabouts, and that's what wholesale is. Does everybody understand that concept? Why don't you guys wholesale? That's the easiest thing to do if you're an investor.
JD is mad at us.
Okay.
She is jealous.
So fix and flip, what's a fix and flip? Everyone knows what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
Buy trash and fix nice. Boom, I call it that way.
Perfect, and then a rental is a long-term type of a wealth building strategy. And then there's lots. Lots are single family homes, right? And then there's retail listings, which we have. We give a lot of them to Jetty, but we do some ourselves. We have apartments, and then we have office space. So that's kind of our hub and our spoke. Does everyone know what the hub and spoke is? The hub kind of feeds the spokes, and then that looks like a pretty bumpy ride. So you got to have like your tire, right? So we have consulting, and then we have property management, and we have headhunting, and we have brand building. That's what I was told several times. People said, you follow me around the internet, that's brand building. And then we have consulting and coaching, so we do that as well. So that's kind of our business in a nutshell. So this is probably the slide you want to see, right? Like in 2021, what did you do? We did 480 deals. If you notice, the biggest part of the pie is refinance. Why is that the biggest part of the pie? Well, clearly it's the biggest number of deals we did, but why is that like worth talking about? Anybody?
That's where you get money out.
Yeah, and it's also, there's a lot of profit in there. Why else? Like, why would I bring up, why did I not just glance over refi?
Next year is going to be a lot lower.
So hopefully, probably not. But like, why else? So like, who owns a portfolio of rentals in here? At least five.
Increase your expenses.
Sure.
Debt service is lower, I'm assuming.
Right. Who owns at least 5 rentals? Who owns at least 10 rentals? Who owns over 100? Okay, so Alex and me. So when you have this, you're absolutely right. So the cost of capital went down. So does anyone want to guess what my average basis point is? What's a basis point? Like the interest rate, right? Like if you have a portfolio, what's like an average rental house refinance at? Like what's that number? Anyone want to guess?
5 now, probably. 5 now.
So it's 3.5 was good. That's last year's numbers. Get 3.5 now. Alex and I were just having a conversation about a dear friend of ours who screwed us over on a deal, who raised us up by 25 basis points. Like we were at 3.75, but we did this last year. So the reason that refinance is really important, guess how much I save annually by doing that refi?
Millions.
Over $1 million, almost $1.2 million. And Alex is a big part of that, and that's what he's going to talk about, is that part of the pie. But the rest of the stuff is rentals. We added 46 rentals in 2021. We did 144 wholesale deals. We did 25 flips. We did some novations, some listings, some new builds, some commercial. So it shows you everything, right? We did new builds, we did rental turns. Like we have a full suite business, and that doesn't even include like property management. So that's kind of the whole thing that we do when we touch. And if you look at it, it fits very much with the wheel. right? Makes sense? It started off as we just buy houses and it turned into something so much more. Make sense? Okay. Why do you think there's another reason I put refis up there. It's what the market's giving you. Last year was the year to refi. I don't think this is the year to refi. Now, there are some things that you should refi, but like Alex and I started this process in 2020. When the Fed started printing money, we were on the phone and we started to do the refi process, and we did the bulk of them last year. All right, so here's some highlights. So we get written up in the paper from time to time. We do a lot of things on the affordable side. That's some of that. What we do in addition is we do a lot of community service. We do something called the 100 Affordable, where we're building 100 houses that are going to be rented through affordable means, and that's on a bunch of the vacant lots. So several years ago, vacant lots, Lloyd and I talked about this. He's like, of course you started doing that, you're a builder. But most people kind of overlook this stuff. Vacant lots were so darn cheap, we were buying them for $3,000 to $7,000 and we just held on to them. Now the cost of capital has come down, it makes sense to buy them or to build them, so that's what we're doing with our 100 Affordable. There was an article in the New York Times about the fact that they used to redline in Virginia and Richmond specifically. So what we've done is gone back and planted trees on all the lots and all the houses that we own in the area. So it's well over 250 trees to help the neighborhood to try and make it a little bit better. And last year we did over 1,000 hours of community service as a company. So these are some of the things that all of the business that we get to do allows us to do. This is kind of a diversified breakdown of deals. So like, who does at least 10 investment deals a year? Anybody? Okay, who does 20? Who does 50? Okay, but that's really good, right? There's a few people in the room who've done 50. A few years ago, we were doing 50. So like, if you stay at this, it isn't easy. And you see the people with the Lamborghinis and $100 bills, but that really isn't reality. It's kind of a grind. But if you grind it, what ends up happening is you can do a bunch of different things with it. I think this is a cool slide. I took refis out. What do you notice is the bulk and some of the dark blues over here? Like, what are, from a deal flow standpoint? The big ones are rentals, got some listings. Turnkeys are down here. And then what's that?
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, and wholesale is a big part of it. The reason wholesale is a big part of it is people overpay right now. They can't find inventory. We're good at finding inventory. So we just sell stuff where we might have flipped it or turned it into a rental in the past because that's what the market's given us.
What do you call it, a turnkey?
A turnkey is we buy it, renovate it, put a renter in place, and then sell it.
So that's not fixed. Well, that's not fixed.
It's a quasi-flip. A fix and flip is retail. The way that we qualify it, a turnkey is mostly a rental. Someone's buying it for yield or margin.
You're trying to capture the property management on that, I assume?
In a lot of instances we do, yeah. Like 99-point-something% of the times we keep it.
Works great for our clients who are out of town, never come to town. We can just, hey, here's a picture, here's a walkthrough. We'll put the tenant in there. Frank will manage it, get it turnkey ready.
Yep. In a lot of instances, we sell it. What we do is we age the property a little bit. Like we keep the tenant in there for a little while, then we sell it. And I'll show you why in just a second. But this is a hard market to break into, so you have to kind of take what the market gives you. Like if you're pushing a boulder uphill, this gets even harder. But if you take what the market gives you, which is refis, wholesales, it is a ton easier. All right, so let's look at this real quick. So you'll start to notice it's kind of appointments, acquisitions, and wholesales. And I'll show it to you year over year, and you can see it from these perspectives. It continues to go up, and I have a profit number in there too. Like this is a slide I built for my company, but I'm an open book. I just showed this stuff. But you can see with staff comes more deals. That's your total leads. This is your, your appointments, your acquisitions, and then your deal flow. And after you look at it, those things keep going up. But I'll show you another slide. This is your profit per deal. So if you look at it, your fix and flip profit, it went down in 2020. And that, does anyone want to guess what that's from? COVID, right? Yeah, so what we did in our business is I was afraid we were going to drown. So I sold everything. And I actually took a hit on a bunch of stuff where people who just waited the market out and the government printed money and everything went up 18%, they made massive, huge profits. We made less, but the goal was I don't want to drown, and I just liquidated a ton of stuff.
1031s on. So I'm just curious because I didn't see any numbers with that. I'm just wondering if you do.
We don't do a lot of 1031s on singles. We do it on multis, but I don't really show it on singles. Does everyone know what a 1031 is? It's a tax-free exchange. These are our turnkeys. Why did we not do a bunch of turnkeys in 19? Anyone want to guess? We were building inventory. We thought it was a good time to hold. It just made sense. The market appreciated it was time to sell. These are your novation profits.
What is
Novation is a method of being able to control an asset with a contract. Basically, you can become contract owner and put it on the MLS. A little bit of the same stuff. And you'll start to notice as the market gets better, so do the lines. All right. So this is the one most people care about. Clearly not this room, so nobody's wholesaling, but if you look at it, it's actually a pretty tight window. We're from about $20,000 to about 21.8 over a 3-year period, so we're staying in that range. What is this slide telling you? Like if our wholesale fees are about the same, what is it saying? Putting things on the MLS is a good idea. If you're keeping a pretty narrow range with your wholesale numbers, if you list on the MLS, those numbers grow. So now is a really good time, I think, to sell. Is it peak market? I don't know, but it's not a bad time to sell. So this is cool because it shows you novations, or 2019, which shows you a little bit of this, and it shows you how we've added to the business in 20, and how we've added in 2021. So even in a constricted inventory market, if you do hunt the right way, you can find a ton of stuff. Even when people say it's impossible to find deals, I completely disagree. I did 500 last year in Richmond. There's plenty of deals. It's where you're looking and how you're sourcing. So I think we get the picture. There's plenty of these. All right, so this is our business model. Now this is going to be incredibly simplified for this, but what I'm going to talk about is direct marketing and deals, and that's it. We have a much broader business than this. Who is interested in generating leads? Are you guys interested in finding more deals? Anybody? Like most rooms, that's what everybody wants to talk about. It's like, how do I find leads? So, I mean, maybe this is the one room in America where people have enough leads. But everywhere else I go, they want leads. So what we do is it's pretty simplified. First, you get your list of targets. When I say list of targets, what is a list of targets?
A area of town.
It's a cultivated list of people who are motivated to sell. That's a list of targets. And then what we do is we skip trace that. We figure out, can we get your phone number? If we can get your phone number, we call you. So that's a hit or a mobile. We'll cold call you. We used to text. The government's made that illegal, so we don't do that anymore. Anybody who gets hit means we skip trace you, we found you, we follow you on the internet. It's the reason why you all think I'm famous, because somehow or another you ended up on my list, and I'm very selective of who I follow around YouTube, which is basically everyone who ran for mayor, and they all told me about it. No hits, what we do is we do a Salesforce push, and then we try and figure out how to get in touch with you, and it's down to the old basics of direct mail. So what you're going to see in this is a pretty, does anyone else have a marketing campaign to find leads like this? Like, we're pretty good at this. So this is probably the time you say, can I please get on your wholesale list? Because we find a ton of leads, and we spend over $1 million per year just on this. So there's two ways to market. There's push and there's pull. Who wants to give me an idea of push? What's push? Cut?
Push is when you throw all the shit you got over the fence to the next guy, and they do their job, but there's no control over flow duration.
Okay. I'm talking about types of marketing here. So like, what's push marketing, what's pull marketing? Push. Right, which one is that?
push?
I think that's pull. That's easy. Push is much harder. Push is outbound dial, those types of things. I need to convince you that you want to work with me, where pull is pretty easy. I just pull you along.
Jim, I see your face on TV, I want to call you.
Well, you don't. So what we do is, this is our structure, and Jenny has this presentation. If you want it, she can share it with you. But this is our entire process and how we go through the process of funneling everything. Tier 1 is basically, we know you may have an interest in selling. Tier 2 is you actually are a decision maker on a deal. And Tier 3, we get you down to a different part in the process. And with that, we follow up in a very different method. So this is an old school postcard. Does anyone want to talk about that? I mean,
All you guys with 5 or 10 probably already get a few of these in mailbox.
yeah. Feel free to tell me, I'll take you off the list. But what do you notice about the postcard? Number one, is it ugly or pretty? It's hideous. The only thing it has on there is a phone. It has a phone number. It has a phone number 5 different times, and it's incredible how well that works. I get 8 to 1. For every dollar I spend, I get $8 back on that postcard. That's me, either TV or YouTube, which most of you have seen. That is the TV from my living room as a kid. So these are the type of things that happen. This is a standard rental for 2021. What's that? For me, or no, you're just chatting? Okay, so this is it, kind of before and afters, and this is what we call lipstick on a pig. Not much to it. Like it kind of looks, it's still got metal bars on it after we were done renovating it. Like we did not blow the budget.
How much did it cost to renovate?
There you go. So we bought it for 30, we put 25 into it, we rent it for 900. Now I was talking to Jenny about who's in the room before I built this. I know some of you buy for kind of luxury and higher end stuff. We tend to service a little bit more the blue collar working class neighborhoods. But if you looked at the year one ROI, it's over 60%, our cap rate is 17. I was on the phone with a hedge fund today who's looking for cap rates over 4. So if you can find a 17% deal in this market, hold on to it like grim death because it's very hard to find these. Does that make sense? Okay.
Question.
Yes?
Have you done analysis on long-term cap rate in those kinds of properties?
Yeah. It's strong. Yeah. Does everyone know what he's asking?
Can you find a $30,000 deal in that?
Yeah, we find them all the time. Can you find it? I don't know, but I can.
I need to be on your list.
Get on it. I'm not going to sell it to you for 30 though. All right. Was there?
You first call me and you say, oh yeah, we're going to get the best return. I say, drive by this address right here. And then you say, it's like, no, that's not exactly quite it. Like, it's a little different.
I see BizSense is $300,000 a door. What are you talking about, 30?
The average, the median sales price in Richmond is $299. So is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
300. Yeah, that's it. So I mean, it's like $30,000 deals don't fall out of the sky. Like I spent a lot of money to follow you around the internet, so you know to call me. And it's not by accident that we find these. But this is a good deal. You can probably buy that for 60, 70 grand, self-performant, and it's still going to give you a cap rate of 12. So there's a way to do that, but you have to find it and you have to figure out what do you bring to the market that's special and how do you create value there. That's a big part of it.
Is this example from a hard marketing, or is this from
It probably says it in here. So these are like right out of Salesforce.
Oh, okay.
Text, it was a text from earlier last year. What's that?
You obviously didn't put your ARV up there.
It's probably like, it's not much. It's like 65, 70 grand. So this is one we probably had to come out of pocket with a little bit, but the return is insane. So I'll take 60% annual ROI. Like that's pretty good. I can borrow money at under 4 because I know Alex. So this is the deal. So, and that's the truth. And that's it. That's kind of it broken down. So this is one that Jenny and I talked about. Hi. And this is before, these are the afters. This is like a little Cracker Jack. It's a tiny little house. But when Jenny and I talked about it, we bought it for 85 grand. These are the notes and how we acquired the property. And we thought we were going to initially put 20 into it, but we ended up spending 44 because I talked to Jenny and she's like, I think we can really push the price. And we did. We pushed the price significantly higher than we thought. We made 40 grand. Those are the numbers. So this one is a wholesale deal. What do you notice about the before and the afters? It's not a very little difference. It's exactly the same. That's the beauty of wholesale. You don't do anything. We bought it for 90. We signed it for 159. We collected a $69,000 fee. And these are all the things. The person was tired of being a landlord. She was over 50K on the house. She thinks she'll take 100. We bought it for 90. Tenant will be gone by January 25th when the lease expires. We put under contract 2 days after that lease expired. Make sense? But these are how you look for things and how you source it.
Frank, what is your radius of interest relative to Richmond? How far out you go?
Mostly around Richmond and to Virginia Beach. We did about 35 deals in Virginia Beach last year. And that's just to prove to you that I'm not lying. So this is a good one. So what have I said multiple times the market's giving you right now? Refi and what else? High sale numbers. Jenny's team, how often do you put something on the market and then it exceeds the list price? 100% of the time. That means it's a seller's market. So if you have stuff, which I do, now's a great time to sell. So hogs get fat, pigs get slaughtered. This is the one that we did some work on, and we wrote it out. So we bought this for $42,000, like right before I got married, like 5 years ago. And if you look at it, the whole thing, it had about a $75,000 as-is value. The ARV was 125. So we put some money into it, and we bought it, and we held it for a while. But then what we did, so it looked like this. We refied it, we got all of our cash out, of course, and we just wrote it. Make sense? But then the market changed. I didn't do anything, I just didn't die. So because of that, the market got better. So I was like, well, I should take advantage of that. I know Jenny, I should call her. Jenny, what do you think this is worth? I think this is worth like 185. Well, I bought it for 42. It's probably a decent time to sell it. Well, we listed it and it sold for 225. We did $10,000 worth of repairs and we made about 112,000 bucks on that house. So she is incredible. If you don't know her, I have her personal cell phone number. I'd be happy to share it. What's that? So this is a good deal, right? Like it was a 41% profit rip, 113K in cash. And if you look at the total performance over time, we did 53% and our ROI was infinity. So like, what am I driving at? Like, why am I showing you all this? Why am I getting into this level of detail?
How do you show the tax burden on this gain?
Because I sold this and I paid capital gains tax, not net ordinary earnings.
So your long-term capital gain
Is very, very low. And because I realize this is a profit as a gain. Does everyone know what he just asked? So if you were in my tax bracket, what would you guess my tax bracket is? High, right? Like 30, okay. But it isn't, because what I do is I hold on to things and I let them ride, and then when I sell them with cap gains. So instead of realizing all that profit, I try and hold it for at least 1 year, because it goes down. You have a question?
Why not do a 1031 on something held that long?
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean,
I have more depreciation than you. So, and I have more balls to juggle, so we don't do it. It's a conscious choice. Is it the best choice? It isn't. But I'm not going to say it out loud. If you talk to me about what my tax rate is, you'd probably make the same decision. Because we just make a certain amount because we want to keep things and let them appreciate. So I show this because now is an incredibly good time for me to sell something like this and trade into a higher class of an asset. This is where Jenny and her team are incredible, right? Like they have higher class assets than what I have, and it's a good time to trade. It's a good time to trade a B minus C plus type of a house into an A, into better neighborhoods in Area 20, stuff along those lines.
Can you go back to the 1031 really quick? Where's that gap close at what point, like 1 year? So meaning you buy it today, you flip it.
I am not an accountant.
Okay.
I barely got a C in accounting in college. I can show you my transcripts. Okay. But if I knew I was going to be using my money, I was certainly a little bit more like clued into what was happening with accounting when it became my money. So the long story short is, look at what your asset basket looks like. For me, it's a ton of single families. Like I get a lot of deduction through depreciation. It's one of the main reasons I don't screw with it, is I have plenty.
I do more commercial.
Okay, yeah, but and 1031 on that is worth the challenge. But on this side, so let's do this.
I'm trying to understand, because you're doing so many deals, so why can't you quickly, it's not like you have to, like the ordinary person would have to wait a couple months to find the right to put that money into it, but you're seeing those deals daily, so why not?
But you can't hold on to everything. So some of what you have to, if you're going to 1031 something, it has to qualify. I'm not going to get into qualifications, right? But if it qualifies, it usually means you've owned it for at least a year, most likely at least 2, and then you take those profits and you roll it into something else. But there's a load of rules when you work with the US government. And a lot of those rules are you can't touch the cash, you got to do this. So that's part of it. If I'm paying cap gains on this, what's my taxable rate? Like what's my tax bill? It's under 20%, it's closer to 15. So it's around, let's call it 18,000 bucks. To 1031 this, what would that cost me? It's going to cost 6 at a minimum. And I can't do whatever the hell I want with it. Now I can do whatever I want with it. I want to buy a new pair of shoes or a jacket or a new jacket for Alex. I can, because it's my money and the US government isn't involved.
You would probably get tagged as a wholesaler anyway, because of the volume you do.
Right, and that's why I don't do it with houses, but I do 1031 big stuff. Yeah. But 1031 is a tax strategy. So when you get into tax strategy, what's the macro around tax strategy? Like what's the most important thing about earning $1? It isn't how much you make, it's how much you keep. So you don't want to get audited. You're going to get audited if you're in business long enough. You don't want to lose an audit.
What about doing a swap? I've heard that that's a...
You can do that. A 1031 involves a swap.
Okay.
I'm not the guy for this.
No,
There are people who are better at that than me. My thing is buy it, hold it. When the market appreciates like crazy, you're like, hold it, can't believe I could sell it for that. Call Jenny. So I got one more cool thing and I'm done.
And how much is she paying you for that? No, I'm just
So this is pretty cool. This is the Malvern building. I'm never gonna sell this. Like, I'm gonna own it forever. But if I do sell this one, this will be a 1031 exchange. Like, this is a development play. This is gonna turn into like 4 other things.
I've got stuff on Dabney and Bethlehem.
So you know it.
But I'll sell mine.
All right, I will get your number. So that's the wheel. But when the wheel expands, it can include other stuff, like the things that we live for: legacy, family, business, personal, and community. We have 50 employees. We have over 400 subcontractors we write checks to every month. If you go through that, I get excited about the fact that there's almost 2,000 people a month our little business affects. People make their paychecks, go home and do things to our business, which I get excited about. So that's kind of it. You asked a ton of questions about tax. You coming up?
Yeah, my presentation.
You-
Questions?
Thank you.
Last point.
You did a PowerPoint?
I
I don't even know you anymore.
Oh, you made me look so bad last time. I think I'm gonna have a PowerPoint this time.
This is incredible. Any questions for me? Cool, I'm done.
Thank you, sir.